Comfort will ruin your life, not because comfort feels bad, but because it feels good. It feels safe. It feels familiar. And that is exactly why it is dangerous. The most destructive prison in the world is not made of steel. It is built from routines that require no courage, habits that demand no growth, and choices that challenge nothing inside you. The human mind craves ease. It seeks the shortest path, the soft chair, the quiet corner. But understand this clearly. Everything valuable in life exists on the other side of effort. Every dream you admire, every achievement you respect, every person you look up to, none of them were built in comfort. Comfort is seductive. It whispers, tomorrow. It says, you deserve a break. It convinces you that average is acceptable. And slowly, day by day, it robs you of your edge. It dulls your hunger. It weakens your discipline. It convinces you that survival is enough. When you were designed for dominance, growth requires friction. Muscle grows when it is stretched. Character grows when it is tillaged. You cannot become stronger without resistance. You cannot become exceptional while choosing ease. The world does not reward comfort. It rewards courage. Every morning you wake up, there is a decision waiting for you. Stay comfortable or step into discomfort. Stay where it's predictable or move toward what demands more from you. One choice feeds fear. The other feeds power. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is your teacher. The awkward conversation you avoid, that is growth calling you. The opportunity that scares you, that is expansion knocking. The discipline you resist, that is the bridge to your future self. Comfort will convince you that you have time, but time is not patient. Every day you choose ease over effort. Someone else is choosing effort over ease. And while you rest in safety, they sharpen their skills. While you hesitate, they execute. While you delay, they advance. Success is not complicated. It is uncomfortable. It is waking up when you don't feel like it. It is working when motivation is absent. It is practicing when no one is watching. It is persisting when results are invisible. The difference between the ordinary and the extraordinary is simple. One became addicted to comfort, the other became committed to growth. You must train yourself to seek productive discomfort. Do the hard thing first. Make the difficult call. Take the calculated risk. Speak up. Stand out. Push further. The moment you begin to feel resistance, understand that you are standing at the doorway of transformation. Most people fear failure, but the greater danger is stagnation. Failure teaches. Stagnation traps. Failure refines strategy. Stagnation erodes confidence. Failure strengthens resolve. Stagnation weakens identity. If you want a powerful life, you must build a powerful tolerance for discomfort. Refuse the easy path. Refuse the average standard. Refuse the life that requires no courage. Set a definite purpose so clear that comfort cannot distract you from it. When your purpose is strong enough, excuses become weak. Discipline is your weapon. Consistency is your strategy. Relentless action is your proof. Understand this. Temporary discomfort creates permanent strength, but permanent comfort creates permanent regret. Years from now, you will not regret the risks you took. You will regret the chances you avoided. You will not regret the mornings you woke up early. You will regret the mornings you stayed small. You were not designed to live cautiously. You were not built to hide in convenience. There is power inside you that only awakens under pressure. So step into pressure. Seek challenges that stretch your limits. Surround yourself with people who demand more from you. Create goals so bold they force you to grow. Let discomfort become familiar. Let effort become natural. Let discipline become your identity. When comfort calls your name, answer with action. When fear whispers doubt, respond with movement. When laziness suggests delay, choose execution. Your future is not decided by your intentions. It is decided by your standards. Raise them. Protect them. Live by them. The world does not remember those who chose comfort. It remembers those who chose courage. And here is the truth that must echo in your mind long after this moment ends. Comfort will ruin your life if you allow it. But discomfort, embraced daily, intentionally, relentlessly, will build a life so strong, so disciplined, so powerful that comfort will no longer control you. The choice is yours. Choose growth, choose discipline. Choose the fire that refines you. Because on the other side of discomfort is the person you were meant to become. Comfort is the silent enemy of ambition. It does not attack you with noise or chaos. It does not announce its arrival like failure or heartbreak. It arrives gently, disguised as rest, disguised as reward, disguised as you've done enough. And that is how it takes control. It lowers your standards quietly. It convinces you to accept less than your potential. It teaches you to settle before you ever test your limits. The danger of comfort is not that it hurts you immediately. The danger is that it slowly erases the hunger that once made you unstoppable. Ambition requires tension. It demands movement. It feeds on challenge. But comfort removes tension. It replaces urgency with ease. The moment you become too comfortable, you stop stretching. The moment you stop stretching, you stop growing. And when growth stops, decline begins, even if you cannot see it yet. Stagnation is invisible at first. It feels safe. It feels stable. But beneath that stability, your edge is dulling. Your discipline is weakening. Your fire is shrinking. Nothing extraordinary has ever been built from a place of ease. Strength is forged under pressure. Confidence is built through repeated confrontation with fear. Skill is developed through relentless repetition when no one is watching. Every achievement that commands respect carries the fingerprints of discomfort. Long hours, difficult decisions, sacrifices that most people were unwilling to make. The path to greatness has never been padded with cushions. Comfort will tell you that you deserve to relax before you earn momentum. It will tell you that tomorrow is a better day to begin. It will whisper that small efforts are enough. But ambition does not respond to whispers. It responds to decisive action. The world does not reward potential. It rewards execution. And execution is rarely comfortable. Look closely at the moments when you grow the most. They are not the easy seasons. They are the times when you felt stretched beyond what was convenient, when you had to wake up earlier than you wanted, when you had to push through doubt, when you had to learn something difficult, when you had to risk being misunderstood. Growth always demands something from you. It asks for courage, it asks for focus, it asks for discipline. The human mind is wired to conserve energy. It prefers predictability. It avoids risk. But success requires you to override that instinct. It requires you to act in spite of comfort, to move forward when your emotions beg you to stay still, to choose long-term fulfillment over short-term relief. That is the dividing line between those who dream and those who dominate. Comfort creates average. It keeps you operating at 70% of your capacity. It convinces you that good enough is acceptable. But average never see. Hang the world. Average never built legacies. Average never inspired generations. The difference between the ordinary and the exceptional is not talent, it is tolerance for discomfort. The exceptional train themselves to endure what others avoid. Every day presents a choice. Stay within the boundaries of convenience, or step into the uncertainty that builds strength. Stay in routines that require no courage, or create habits that demand excellence. The first option feels easier in the moment. The second option builds power over time. Repeated daily, that choice compounds. Comfort compounds into regret. Discomfort compounds into confidence. When you avoid hard conversations, you weaken your authority. When you delay difficult tasks, you weaken your discipline. When you shrink from challenges, you weaken your identity. But when you face what intimidates you, something shifts internally. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to see proof of your resilience. You begin to understand that fear is not a wall. It is a test. Pain is not always a signal to stop. Often it is a signal that you are expanding. Muscles burn before they grow. Minds struggle before they master. Character trembles before it stabilizes. If you interpret every discomfort as danger, you will retreat from every opportunity that could elevate you. If you learn to interpret discomfort as development, you will start running toward what once frightened you. Discipline is the antidote to comfort. Discipline does not ask how you feel. It asks what must be done. It does not negotiate with excuses. It eliminates them. It creates structure where emotions would otherwise create chaos. And when discipline becomes your standard, comfort loses its control over you. Ambition without action is fantasy. Action without discomfort is rare. The goals you claim to desire require effort beyond what is convenient. They require reconsistency when motivation disappears. They require sacrifice when distractions call your name. If you protect your comfort more than your purpose, you will always choose the smaller life. There is power waiting on the other side of your hesitation. There is confidence waiting beyond your fear. There is mastery waiting past your frustration. But none of it can be reached while clinging to what feels safe. Safety maintains survival. Discomfort creates transformation. The life you admire is built in moments most people avoid. It is built when someone chooses training over television, focus over distraction, preparation over procrastination. It is built when someone refuses to let temporary discomfort dictate permanent outcomes. You cannot become unstoppable while protecting your comfort. You cannot command respect while avoiding pressure. You cannot build greatness while negotiating with ease. The standard you accept determines the life you experience. Raise that standard beyond convenience. Raise it beyond emotion. Raise it beyond what feels safe. The silent enemy will always be there, offering softness, offering delay, offering relief. But ambition demands more. It demands that you step forward when it would be easier to step back. It demands that you endure what others escape. It demands that you become stronger than your desire for comfort. Growth only begins where comfort ends. The moment you step beyond what feels safe, predictable, and easy, you activate a different version of yourself. A version forged in resistance, sharpened by pressure, and awakened by challenge. Comfort keeps you preserved. Discomfort makes you powerful. Comfort maintains who you are. Discomfort creates who you can become. If you want expansion in your life, you must first accept contraction in your feelings. If you want elevation in your results, you must first endure tension in your effort. Nothing in nature evolves without stress. Muscles tear before they grow stronger. Diamonds are formed under crushing pressure. Steel is refined in fire. Why should your character, your discipline, your ambition be any different? The very discomfort you try to avoid is the exact force designed to elevate you. Yet most people retreat at the first sign of difficulty. They interpret resistance as a warning to stop, when in reality it is an invitation to rise. Comfort feels secure, but it breeds stagnation. It wraps you in routines that demand nothing new. It keeps your dreams theoretical. It convinces you that potential alone is enough. But potential unused becomes regret. Untested ability becomes doubt. The longer you remain comfortable, the more your confidence weakens, because deep down you know you are capable of more. Growth demands exposure. Exposure to failure. Exposure to criticism. Exposure to uncertainty. When you step outside your comfort zone, you risk being seen, judged, misunderstood. That vulnerability feels uncomfortable, but it is also the birthplace of transformation. Every skill you admire in someone else was once uncomfortable for them. Every level of confidence you respect was once insecurity confronted repeatedly. The mind craves familiarity because it saves energy. It prefers known environments and predictable outcomes. But success requires you to override that instinct. It requires deliberate friction. It requires doing the difficult thing first. It requires choosing long-term gain over short-term ease. The stronger your tolerance for discomfort, the faster your growth accelerates. Think about the last time you experienced real progress. It did not come from repeating what you had already mastered. It came from attempting something that stretched you. It came from pushing past mental limits. It came from persisting when quitting felt reasonably. E. Growth always sits just beyond the point where most people decide to stop. Discomfort clarifies who you are. When you are tired and still continue, you discover discipline. When you are afraid and still act, you discover courage. When you are challenged and still adapt, you discover resilience. These qualities cannot be purchased or borrowed. They must be earned through friction. Comfort will try to negotiate with your ambition. It will suggest moderation when intensity is required. It will recommend delay when urgency is necessary. It will disguise itself as balance while quietly lowering your standard. But growth has no interest in negotiation. It responds only to commitment. It answers only to action. If you want to grow mentally, you must confront ideas that challenge your beliefs. If you want to grow physically, you must push your body beyond convenience. If you want to grow financially, you must take calculated risks. If you want to grow spiritually, you must question your limitations. In every dimension of life, expansion requires tension. Pain is not the enemy. Avoidance is. Struggle is not the obstacle. Surrender is. The discomfort you feel when learning, building, or transforming is temporary. The regret of never trying is permanent. Most people choose the comfort of familiarity over the discomfort of progress. That single decision separates average lives from extraordinary ones. Growth is not a single event. It is a daily confrontation with your own boundaries. It is waking up and choosing effort over excuses. It is practicing when motivation fades. It is staying focused when distractions tempt you. It is holding your standards when compromise feels easier. Each small act of discipline compounds. Each uncomfortable action builds capacity. The more you expose yourself to discomfort, the less it controls you. Fear shrinks when faced repeatedly. Doubt weak ends when challenged consistently. Confidence grows when earned deliberately. Over time, what once felt impossible becomes manageable. What once felt intimidating becomes routine. Your comfort zone expands because you forced it to. You were not designed for stagnation. You were built with the ability to adapt, to learn, to rise. But that ability remains dormant without challenge. Comfort is a cage lined with cushions. It feels soft, but it limits movement. Discomfort is an open field. It feels harsh, but it offers freedom. Every opportunity you desire sits beyond a boundary you have not yet crossed. Every breakthrough waits behind effort you have not yet given. Every higher level demands a stronger version of you, and that stronger version is developed only through repeated exposure to what feels difficult. When you begin to seek discomfort instead of avoiding it, everything changes. Challenges become opportunities. Obstacles become training grounds. Failure becomes feedback. Pressure becomes preparation. You stop asking, "Why is this hard?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" Growth only begins where comfort ends. And the moment you decide that temporary discomfort is a price worth paying for permanent expansion, you reclaim control of your evolution. The line between who you are and who you could become is drawn by your willingness to endure what others refuse. Step across it daily, deliberately, relentlessly, and watch your capacity multiply beyond what comfort ever allowed. Discipline must replace the desire for ease. The craving for comfort is natural, but greatness is never natural. It is constructed through conscious resistance to that craving. Every human being wakes up with impulses that pull toward what feels simple, convenient, and painless. But the individuals who rise above the ordinary are those who refuse to be governed by impulse. They build stand stronger than their moods. They create standards higher than their feelings. They understand that ease is attractive in the moment, but destructive over time. Ease seduces quietly. It tells you that rest is deserved before effort is completed. It tells you that small delays are harmless. It tells you that average output is acceptable. But every time you surrender to ease without earning it, you weaken your authority over yourself. Self-respect is built when you keep promises to yourself, especially when those promises are uncomfortable. The foundation of confidence is not talent. It is disciplined action repeated long after motivation fades. Discipline is not punishment. It is structure. It is the decision to act according to purpose rather than preference. It is choosing long-term power over short-term pleasure. When you replace ease with discipline, you stop negotiating with weakness. You stop asking how you feel and start asking what must be done. That shift alone separates those who wish from those who win. The mind will always look for shortcuts. It is wired to conserve energy. But success demands energy investment. It demands focus when distractions are loud. It demands persistence when progress is slow. It demands repetition when boredom creeps in. Discipline is the mechanism that keeps you moving when excitement disappears. Without it, ambition becomes fragile. Every goal you set will challenge your comfort. Every meaningful objective requires sacrifice. Time must be given. Energy must be directed. Distractions must be eliminated. The desire for ease will constantly attempt to reclaim control. It will tempt you to skip the workout, postpone the project, ignore the plan. If you give in consistently, your standards decline. If you resist consistently, your strength compounds. Discipline builds identity. Each time you follow through despite resistance, you are. I enforce the belief that you are reliable. Each time you complete a difficult task, you strengthen your internal authority. Over time, disciplined behavior becomes automatic. What once required effort becomes habit. What once felt heavy becomes routine. Ease loses its dominance because discipline becomes your default. There is a difference between rest and indulgence. Rest restores strength after effort. Indulgence replaces effort entirely. Discipline teaches you to earn rest. It teaches you to value recovery because you have invested energy. But when ease comes first, energy is never invested deeply enough to produce growth. You remain in a cycle of comfort without progress. The world rewards consistent execution, not bursts of enthusiasm, not temporary motivation. Consistency is built through discipline. It is the ability to show up on days when you would rather withdraw. It is the ability to focus when distractions multiply. It is the ability to persist when results are invisible. Those who master discipline understand that outcomes are delayed, but effort is immediate. When you rely on how you feel, your performance becomes unstable. Emotions fluctuate. Energy shifts. Circumstances change. Discipline stabilizes you. It creates a baseline of productivity independent of mood. It ensures progress regardless of conditions. It transforms effort from a choice into a requirement. The desire for ease weakens resilience. When you avoid discomfort repeatedly, your tolerance for challenge decreases. Small obstacles begin to feel overwhelming. Minor setbacks appear catastrophic. But when discipline governs your behavior, resilience increases. Hard tasks become manageable. Pressure becomes familiar. You develop emotional endurance because you no longer escape difficulty. Freedom is often misunderstood as doing whatever feels good. True freedom is mastery over yourself. It is the ability to command your actions rather than be controlled by cravings. Discipline grants that mastery. It allows you to direct your time, your focus, and your energy toward meaningful objectives. Ease, when overindulged, creates dependency. Discipline creates independence. The strongest individuals are not those who avoid struggle. They are those who embrace structured effort daily. They wake up with intention. They prioritize what matters most. They eliminate what distracts them. They operate with clarity. That clarity is born from disciplined thinking. It is reinforced through disciplined behavior. Every day presents a silent battle between convenience and commitment. Convenience offers immediate comfort. Commitment demands immediate effort. One leads to stagnation, the other leads to expansion. The more often you choose commitment, the stronger your self-trust becomes. The more often you choose convenience, the weaker your self-image grows. Discipline transforms potential into proof. Without it, talent remains dormant. Ideas remain unrealized. Dreams remain distant. With it, small actions compound into significant results. Progress becomes measurable. Confidence becomes grounded. Success becomes predictable because behavior becomes controlled. Replace the desire for ease with the demand for excellence. Replace hesitation with execution. Replace distraction with direction. Each disciplined action is a vote for the person you intend to become. Each resisted impulse strengthens your internal command. Over time, discipline ceases to feel restrictive. It feels empowering because you recognize its results. The desire for ease will never disappear completely. It will whisper during moments of fatigue. It will tempt during moments of doubt. But when discipline stands stronger than desire, progress becomes inevitable. Strength becomes habitual. Standards become unbreakable. Love. And your life begins to reflect the power of consistent, deliberate, uncompromising action. Pain is a signal of expansion, not destruction. It is the alarm that sounds when you are stretching beyond your current limits, the pressure that builds when your old identity can no longer contain your emerging strength. Most people interpret pain as a warning to retreat. The strong interpret it as evidence of growth. Pain does not always mean something is breaking. Often it means something greater is being built. Every level of progress carries discomfort. When muscles are trained beyond familiarity, they burn before they grow. When the mind wrestles with complex ideas, it strains before it sharpens. When character is tested under pressure, it trembles before it stabilizes. Expansion demands tension. Without resistance, there is no transformation. Without pressure, there is no power. The instinct to avoid pain is natural. The mind seeks safety. It seeks stability. It seeks predictability. But evolution does not occur in comfort. It occurs in challenge. The very discomfort you attempt to escape may be the doorway to your next level. If you retreat at the first sign of difficulty, you remain confined within your current capacity. If you endure, you expand. Pain clarifies what you are made of. When circumstances push against you, your true discipline is revealed. When obstacles block your path, your creativity awakens. When setbacks strike, your resilience is tested. These moments feel uncomfortable because they demand more from you than you have previously required of yourself. Yet in that demand lies development. There is a difference between destructive pain and developmental pain. Destructive pain weakens without purpose. Developmental pain strengthens with intention. The pain of growth is structured. It is chosen. It is endured for a reason. The late nights studying. The early mornings training. The difficult conversations that strengthen relationships. The calculated risks that stretch your courage. Each form of purposeful discomfort expands your limits. When you experience failure, it stings. But that sting carries information. It reveals gaps in strategy. It exposes weaknesses in preparation. It highlights areas requiring refinement. Failure is painful because it challenges your ego. Yet that challenge sharpens your humility and strengthens your awareness. Without that friction, improvement would be impossible. Emotional pain often signals transformation as well. The loss of comfort forces adaptation. The breakdown of certainty forces growth. When life removes stability, it compels you to discover inner stability. That discovery builds confidence deeper than any external circumstance could provide. Pressure creates internal strength when you refuse to collapse beneath it. Avoidance of pain shrinks potential. Each time you step back from discomfort, your tolerance decreases. Minor obstacles feel overwhelming. Small challenges appear intimidating. But when you lean into constructive pain, your threshold rises. What once felt unbearable becomes manageable. What once seemed impossible becomes routine. Expansion becomes your new normal. Consider every skill you admire. It was developed through repetition that felt uncomfortable at first. Every confident speaker once felt nervous. Every disciplined leader once battled inconsistency. Every accomplished individual endured moments of doubt, fatigue, and frustration. Those sensations were not signs to stop. They were signals to persist. Pain is feedback. It tells you that effort is being applied. It tells you that energy is being invested. It tells you that you are stepping beyond what is familiar. The key is interpretation. If you label every discomfort as danger, you will retreat from all. Opportunity. If you label it as growth, you will advance despite fear. The body strengthens through controlled stress. The mind sharpens through intellectual challenge. The spirit deepens through adversity. Expansion requires a breaking of previous boundaries. That breaking feels uncomfortable because it disrupts old patterns. But disruption is necessary for elevation. Stability without challenge leads to stagnation. Resilience is built in painful moments. When you endure and continue, you teach yourself that discomfort does not define you. You prove that your will is stronger than temporary suffering. That proof becomes internal power. The next challenge feels less threatening because you have evidence of your endurance. Pain also refines focus. When goals matter deeply, the discomfort required to achieve them becomes meaningful. Meaning transforms suffering into sacrifice. Sacrifice directed toward purpose fuels determination. Without purpose, pain feels pointless. With purpose, it becomes fuel. The expansion you desire demands a price. That price is effort. That effort generates strain. That strain produces growth. There is no shortcut around this process. Every advancement requires you to outgrow your previous self. That outgrowing feels like tension because it stretches identity. If you want greater strength, you must tolerate greater pressure. If you want deeper wisdom, you must confront deeper challenges. If you want stronger character, you must endure harder tests. Each layer of expansion requires a willingness to move through discomfort instead of away from it. Pain is not an enemy to fear, but a force to understand. When approached with intention, it becomes a teacher. When faced with courage, it becomes a catalyst. When endured with discipline, it becomes a builder of capacity. Expansion lives on the other side of resistance. The tension you feel today may be shaping the strength you will rely on tomorrow. The choice is interpretation and response. Retreat and remain confined within your current limits, or endure and allow your capacity to multiply. Pressure is not proof of destruction. It is evidence that your boundaries are being challenged. Growth does not arrive gently. It arrives through friction, through tension, through strain that stretches you into a stronger form. Success demands deliberate discomfort daily, not occasional effort. Not temporary motivation, not bursts of inspiration when the mood feels right. Daily, intentional, uncomfortable action. The kind that stretches your discipline. The kind that tests your patience. The kind that forces you to operate beyond convenience. Success is not an accident. It is the result of repeatedly choosing what is hard over what is easy. Deliberate discomfort means you do not wait for pressure to find you. You create it. You wake up before it is necessary. You prepare before you are forced. You study before you are exposed. You study before you are tested. While others react to circumstances, you train in advance. That preparation feels uncomfortable because it requires effort without immediate reward. But that is exactly why it separates you. Comfort is passive. Discomfort is proactive. Comfort waits. Discomfort acts. The individuals who rise to the highest levels understand that growth must be engineered. They design routines that challenge them. They schedule tasks that stretch them. They set standards that intimidate them. They do not drift into excellence. They discipline themselves into it. Daily discomfort builds capacity. Each time you complete a task you would rather avoid, your tolerance expands. Each time you resist distraction, your focus strengthens. Each time you push beyond fatigue, your endurance increases. These small, consistent acts compound. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. What once seemed extreme becomes normal. The mind resists this process. It seeks ease. It searches for shortcuts. It suggests postponement. But success is not impressed by excuses. It responds only to execution. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is filled with uncomfortable actions, conversations you hesitate to have, skills you must develop, habits you must eliminate, risks you must take. Discomfort refines discipline. When you choose effort on days you feel unmotivated, you detach performance from emotion. You become stable, reliable, predictable in your productivity. That reliability is power. It means your progress no longer depends on inspiration. It depends on decision. There is a reason most people remain average. Average requires minimal discomfort. It requires enough effort to survive, but not enough to excel. It avoids extremes. It avoids risk. It avoids pressure. But excellence lives in the extremes of discipline. It lives in early mornings and focused nights. It lives in repetition when boredom sets in. It lives in persistence when results are delayed. Daily deliberate discomfort is not reckless suffering. It is strategic challenge. It is identifying the areas that will move your life forward and attacking them with consistency. It is training your body even when it aches. It is sharpening your mind even when it feels strained. It is improving your craft even when progress seems slow. Every time you avoid discomfort, you delay growth. Every time you embrace it, you accelerate progress. The difference may feel small in a single day, but over months and years, it becomes dramatic. The disciplined individual compounds strength. The comfortable individual compounds regret. Pressure reveals character. When you choose discomfort voluntarily, you strengthen your character before life tests it involuntarily. Why? You become resilient, adaptable, focused. The storms that break others become manageable to you because you have practiced under pressure. Success requires sacrifice. Time must be invested. Energy must be directed. Distractions must be eliminated. Each sacrifice feels uncomfortable because it demands that you give up something easy for something meaningful. That trade is the essence of advancement. Short-term ease is exchanged for long-term achievement. Your standards determine your trajectory. If your standard allows frequent comfort, your growth will be limited. If your standard requires daily discipline, your growth will be inevitable. Standards are enforced through action, and action, when deliberate and consistent, builds momentum. Momentum changes identity. When you repeatedly choose discomfort, you begin to see yourself differently. You stop identifying as someone who tries and start identifying as someone who executes. That identity shift is powerful. It influences decisions automatically. It strengthens resolve naturally. Deliberate discomfort also sharpens clarity. When distractions are removed, focus intensifies. When comfort is reduced, urgency increases. You begin to recognize how much potential was previously wasted on convenience. You reclaim that wasted energy and redirect it toward purpose. Every level of success demands a new tolerance for discomfort. What was once challenging becomes routine. New challenges appear. Growth never stops requiring effort. That is why daily discipline is essential. It keeps you prepared for higher demands. It keeps you expanding. The world rewards those who consistently do what others postpone. It rewards those who practice when others relax. It rewards those who prepare when others procrastinate. That reward is not immediate applause. It is competence, confidence, authority, results. Deliberate discomfort is a choice made in quiet moments. No audience, no recognition, just commitment. The willingness to endure temporary strain for permanent progress. That willingness separates aspiration from achievement. Each day offers an opportunity to strengthen your edge or dull it, to build momentum or lose it, to reinforce discipline or weaken it. The accumulation of those daily decisions shapes your future. Success is not built in dramatic leaps. It is constructed through daily acts of intentional discomfort that refine your ability, elevate your standards, and expand your capacity beyond what comfort ever allowed. Fear loses power when confronted repeatedly. The first time you face it, your heart races, your thoughts scatter, your instincts tell you to retreat. The second time, the intensity weakens slightly. The third time, you begin to see it more clearly. What once felt like a wall starts to look like a shadow. Fear thrives in avoidance. It grows in silence. It expands in imagination. But when you step toward it again and again, it begins to shrink. Fear is not a fixed force. It is a reaction shaped by uncertainty and lack of exposure. The less you confront it, the larger it appears. The more you confront it, the more familiar it becomes. Familiarity reduces intimidation. Repetition reduces anxiety. Action reduces doubt. The unknown becomes known, and the known becomes manageable. Most limitations in life are not physical. They are psychological. They are built from repeated avoidance. When you avoid difficult conversations, fear of confrontation grows. When you avoid public speaking, fear of judgment intensifies. When you avoid risk, fear of failure expands. Avoidance feeds fear. Exposure starves it. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move despite it. The first act of courage feels heavy because you are breaking a pattern. You are interrupting a cycle of retreat. That interruption creates discomfort, but within that discomfort lies growth. Each time you act in spite of fear, you rewrite your internal narrative. You prove to yourself that fear does not control you. Repetition builds confidence. When you face what intimidates you repeatedly, your nervous system adapts. What once triggered panic begins to trigger focus. What once caused hesitation begins to inspire preparation. You stop seeing fear as a threat and start seeing it as a signal that you are stepping into expansion. Fear often exaggerates consequences. It paints worst-case scenarios vividly. It magnifies potential embarrassment. It dramatizes possible failure. But when you confront it directly, reality rarely matches imagination. The conversation is not as disastrous as you predicted. The risk does not destroy you. The setback does not define you. Experience corrects distortion. Every powerful individual has faced fear repeatedly. They have stood in uncertainty. They have taken risks without guarantees. They have spoken when silence felt safer. Their strength did not come from immunity to fear. It came from repetition in confronting it. They built tolerance. They built resilience. They built proof of their own capability. Fear is strongest before action. Once movement begins, its grip loosens. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates clarity. Clarity reduces anxiety. The longer you wait, the more fear intensifies. The faster you act, the less time fear has to expand. When you repeatedly face fear, you develop emotional endurance. You learn that discomfort is temporary. You recognize that anxiety peaks and then declines. You observe that your body reacts, but your mind can still choose direction. That awareness builds control. Control builds confidence. The mind learns through evidence. Each time you confront fear and survive, you gather evidence of strength. Each successful exposure weakens the belief that you are incapable. Over time, your identity shifts. You stop seeing yourself as someone who avoids difficulty. You start seeing yourself as someone who handles it. There is a direct relationship between the fears you confront and the life you create. If you avoid fear, your world shrinks. Opportunities remain untouched. Potential remains unrealized. But if you confront fear consistently, your world expands. New experiences become accessible. New skills become attainable. New levels become reachable. Fear often guards the doorway to growth. The things that intimidate you most frequently carry the greatest potential for transformation. The business idea that scares you, the leadership role that feels overwhelming, the creative pursuit that exposes you to judgment. Behind each fear lies development. Repeated confrontation transforms fear into familiarity. Familiarity transforms intimidation into routine. Routine transforms challenge into competence. What once seemed impossible becomes part of your standard behavior. You begin to operate at a higher level because you have dismantled previous barriers. Avoidance offers temporary relief but long-term limitation. Confrontation offers temporary discomfort but long-term freedom. The choice determines your trajectory. Each time you lean into fear, you strengthen your will. Each time you retreat, you reinforce hesitation. Fear is not meant to imprison you. It is meant to alert you that you are approaching growth. When you interpret it correctly, it becomes guidance rather than obstruction. It signals that you are stepping beyond familiarity. That boundary is where transformation occurs. Repetition is the key. One confrontation builds awareness. Multiple confrontations build mastery. With enough exposure, fear becomes background noise. It no longer dictates decisions. It no longer defines identity. It becomes a signal you acknowledge but do not obey. The person you aspire to become requires actions that currently intimidate you. Speaking boldly, acting decisively, taking responsibility. Each step requires courage. Courage is strengthened through use. The more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. Fear loses power when confronted repeatedly because its strength depends on your silence. Break that silence with action. Interrupt hesitation with movement. Replace imagination with experience. Each deliberate confrontation chips away at limitation and expands capacity, building a version of you that no longer retreats at the sight of uncertainty, but advances with controlled determination and earned confidence. A definite purpose requires uncomfortable action. Clarity of vision means nothing without the courage to move toward it. And movement toward anything meaningful will challenge your comfort, your habits, and your excuses. Purpose is not a slogan you repeat to feel inspired. It is a commitment that demands sacrifice. The clearer your purpose becomes, the less room you have for convenience. It calls you forward even when you feel unprepared, even when you feel uncertain, even when you would rather stay where it is safe. Many people claim to have goals. Few are willing to endure the discomfort those goals demand. A definite purpose is not casual. It is exact. It is specific. It creates direction, and direction exposes the gap between where you are and where you intend to be. That gap is filled with effort. It is filled with discipline. It is filled with actions that stretch your current capacity. Purpose forces decision. It eliminates distractions because anything that does not align with it becomes a liability. That elimination feels uncomfortable. It requires saying no when it would be easier to say yes. It requires focusing when it would be easier to drift. It requires persistence when it would be easier to quit. A vague intention can coexist with comfort. A definite purpose cannot. When your objective is clear, excuses lose their power. You cannot claim confusion when the target is defined. You cannot hide behind uncertainty when the path requires effort. The discomfort appears because purpose raises your standards. It demands more of your time, more of your focus, more of your resilience. It challenges the version of you that prefers ease. Every worthwhile achievement carries resistance. The resistance is proof that the goal matters. If it were simple, everyone would achieve it. If it required no sacrifice, it would hold little value. Purpose intensifies resistance because it aims higher than average. It demands performance beyond ordinary limits. Uncomfortable action is the currency of progress. Early mornings when fatigue whispers. Long hours refining skills when distractions tempt you. Difficult conversations that strengthen clarity. Strategic risks that expand opportunity. Each action feels uncomfortable because it disrupts familiarity. Yet each one builds momentum. A definite purpose sharpens focus. When you know exactly what you want, hesitation becomes costly, delay becomes dangerous, time becomes valuable. You begin to measure your actions against your objective. This measurement creates accountability. Accountability creates pressure. Pressure creates growth. The mind often resists this process. It prefers comfort. It prefers certainty. It prefers immediate gratification. But purpose redirects attention from immediate pleasure to long-term achievement. That shift demands discipline. It demands control over impulses. It demands the willingness to endure temporary discomfort for lasting fulfillment. Purpose also exposes fear. The larger the goal, the greater the intimidation. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of inadequacy. These fears surface because the stakes feel real. Confronting them requires courage. Repeated action in their presence weakens their control. Each uncomfortable step builds proof of your capability. Without uncomfortable action, purpose becomes fantasy. It remains an idea rather than a reality. Execution transforms it. Execution is rarely smooth. It involves mistakes. It involves correction. It involves repetition. Growth through repetition feels demanding, yet mastery is impossible without it. Discomfort clarifies commitment. When challenges arise, you discover whether your purpose is genuine or superficial. If it is superficial, you retreat. If it is genuine, you persist. Persistence builds strength. Strength builds confidence. Confidence fuels further action. A definite purpose organizes your energy. It channels effort toward a single direction. Scatty. Red effort produces scattered results. Focused effort produces momentum. That focus requires eliminating habits that conflict with your goal. It requires structuring your time intentionally. It requires prioritizing long-term progress over short-term relief. Every day presents an opportunity to align with purpose or drift from it. Alignment often feels demanding. It requires attention. It requires execution. Drift feels easier. It requires nothing, but drift leads nowhere meaningful. Purpose leads somewhere specific. Uncomfortable action also builds identity. When you repeatedly act in service of your objective, you begin to see yourself differently. You stop identifying as someone who hopes and start identifying as someone who builds. That identity shift strengthens resolve. It influences decisions automatically. The greater your purpose, the greater the discomfort required. Higher goals demand higher standards. Higher standards demand stronger discipline. Stronger discipline demands consistent effort. Each layer reinforces the next. Growth becomes structured rather than accidental. Purpose removes ambiguity. It defines what matters and what does not. This clarity can feel isolating because it separates you from distractions others may enjoy. Yet that separation strengthens focus. Focus accelerates progress. Action must be repeated. One bold move is not enough. One disciplined week is not enough. Sustained, uncomfortable action compounds over time. Small efforts accumulate, skills refine. Confidence stabilizes, results begin to reflect commitment. A definite purpose is a contract with your future self. It declares that you will not remain confined by current limitations. It demands that you expand capacity. It requires effort beyond convenience. It challenges you to become stronger than your hesitation, more disciplined than your excuses, and more committed than your fear. The price of greatness is temporary hardship. The price of comfort is permanent regret. Every decision you make is a transaction. You're always paying something, either the discomfort required to grow or the quiet sorrow of knowing you settled. Hardship demands effort now. Regret demands reflection later. One is sharp and brief. The other is slow and lasting. Greatness has never been free. It asks for discipline when laziness tempts you. It asks for courage when fear tightens its grip. It asks for focus when distractions compete for your attention. The payment is not convenient. It is measured in early mornings, late nights, repeated failures, and relentless adjustments. It is measured in sacrifice, time invested instead of wasted, energy directed instead of scattered. Temporary hardship feels heavy in the moment because it stretches you beyond familiarity. It forces you to confront weaknesses. It exposes gaps in your preparation. It tests your endurance. But within that hardship lies refinement. Each challenge strengthens capacity. Each obstacle sharpens strategy. Each setback builds resilience. The weight you carry today becomes the strength you rely on tomorrow. Comfort offers an alternative. It suggests postponement. It encourages moderation. It promotes safety. It whispers that average effort is acceptable. Comfort reduces immediate strain, but it silently increases long-term dissatisfaction. Every time you choose ease over effort, you reinforce limitation. Over time, that limitation hardens into regret. Regret is subtle at first. It appears as curiosity about what might have been. It grows into frustration when you witness others achieving what you once desired. It deepens into disappointment when you realize the opportunity has passed. Unlike hardship, regret cannot be reversed through effort. It lingers because it represents unused potential. Temporary hardship builds pride. You can look back at difficult seasons and recognize growth. You can remember the moments you pushed through resistance. You can see evidence of strength developed under pressure. Regret offers no such reward. It only reminds you of actions avoided and risks never taken. The mind often exaggerates hardship. It magnifies discomfort. It dramatizes difficulty. But hardship is usually manageable when faced directly. It becomes overwhelming only when imagined from a distance. Action reduces fear. Engagement reduces doubt. Movement reduces hesitation. Hardship confronted becomes training. Comfort magnifies complacency. The more you indulge it, the more you crave it. Standards lower gradually. Ambition weakens quietly. Discipline fades subtly. Years can pass in comfortable stagnation. By the time regret becomes undeniable, the window for certain opportunities may have closed. Greatness requires a shift in perspective. It requires viewing hardship as investment rather than punishment. The long hours refining your craft are deposits into mastery. The repeated practice is a deposit into competence. The disciplined routine is a deposit into consistency. Over time, these deposits accumulate into achievement. Hardship also clarifies commitment. When challenges intensify, you discover the depth of your resolve. If the goal matters deeply, you endure. If it does not, you retreat. That clarity is valuable. It prevents wasted energy on superficial desires. It directs focus toward meaningful pursuits. Comfort never tests commitment. It never demands growth. It maintains the status quo. But the status quo rarely satisfies ambition. Deep within, there is a desire for expansion, for improvement, for achievement, for impact. That desire cannot coexist with prolonged comfort. Every accomplished individual has paid a price, not in luck, but in laugh, or not in ease, but in endurance. They have endured doubt, criticism, fatigue, and failure. They have experienced moments when quitting felt reasonable. They persisted because they understood the alternative. The alternative was mediocrity. The alternative was wondering what might have happened had they continued. Temporary hardship strengthens identity. Each time you persist, you reinforce the belief that you are resilient. Each time you overcome, you build confidence grounded in evidence. That evidence compounds. It transforms self-perception. You stop seeing yourself as someone who hopes and start seeing yourself as someone who executes. Regret erodes identity. It weakens self-trust. It creates internal conflict between who you are and who you could have been. That conflict can linger for years. It surfaces during quiet moments. It appears when reflecting on missed opportunities. It reminds you that comfort was chosen when courage was required. The transaction is unavoidable. You will pay something. The question is whether you will pay in disciplined effort now or in disappointed reflection later. The discomfort of training, studying, building, and striving fades with time. The memory of inaction often intensifies. Greatness is not reserved for the most talented. It is claimed by those willing to endure more temporary hardship than others are willing to tolerate. It is secured by those who prioritize long-term fulfillment over short-term relief. It is sustained by those who understand that growth requires friction. Comfort feels attractive because it is immediate. Hardship feels intimidating because it is demanding. But only one leads to expansion. Only one builds legacy. Only one transforms potential into reality. The weight of effort today is lighter than the weight of regret tomorrow. And those who recognize this truth consistently choose the challenge that refines them rather than the ease that confines them. Understand this with absolute clarity. The life you build will always reflect the standard you choose to live by. If you choose comfort, you will inherit limitation. If you choose hardship, you will inherit strength. There is no neutral path. There is no escape from the price. The only decision is which price you are willing to pay. Temporary hardship will test you, stretch you, and exhaust you. But it will also elevate you. It will carve discipline into your identity. It will turn doubt into evidence of resilience. Years from now, you will look back at the struggle and see it as the moment you decided to become more than average. Comfort, on the other hand, will never announce its consequences. It will let you drift. It will let you delay. It will let you justify. And one day, when time has moved forward without your effort, it will leave you with questions that cannot be undone. So choose the path that demands more from you. Choose the effort that strengthens you. Choose the pressure that prepares you. Let others seek ease while you seek expansion. Let others negotiate with excuses while you negotiate with excellence. Because in the end, greatness is not an accident. It is a decision repeated daily. And when you commit to paying the price of discipline now, you ensure that your future is built on pride instead of regret, on growth instead of hesitation, on strength instead of surrender.